Love without respect is suffocating. Those 5 words didn't just end an argument, they shattered a decade-long illusion. For years, we watched a family break a daughter. We called it entertainment. They called it parenting. We laughed at the quirks, we followed the milestones, and we bought into the brand of the perfect, resilient little family. But what happens when the scapegoat stops playing the villain and finally decides to rewrite the script? What happens when the person cast as the problem child looks directly into the camera and reveals that the problem isn't her behavior, but the very air she is forced to breathe? This isn't just a story about a birthday party invite or a Thanksgiving dinner gone wrong. This is the autopsy of a family dynamic that millions of people watched but only a few truly understood. Until now. Before we drag the darkest secrets of the Johnston family into the light, make sure you are subscribed to 7 Little People and have hit that like button. We are building the ultimate record of the truth, digging deeper than the cameras ever dared to go, and you do not want to miss a single update as this story unfolds. To understand why Season 14 felt like a horror movie disguised as a reality show, we have to understand the premise of the nightmare Anna Johnston has been living in. Think of it like the Truman Show, but instead of everyone pretending Truman is the hero, everyone is conspiring to make sure Anna believes she is the villain. For seasons, the narrative was simple. Trent and Amber are the benevolent saviors, the biological kids are the golden standards of behavior, and Anna is the wild card. The burden. The Russian adoption that came with baggage. They planted that word in our heads early. Baggage. It became her character description before she even had a chance to speak for herself. But something shifted this year. The audience woke up. It was a mass awakening that TLC never predicted. Usually, reality TV editors are masters of manipulation. They can make a saint look like a sinner with a single cut. But they couldn't edit around the visceral, uncomfortable reality of Trent and Amber's narcissism anymore. The fans stopped laughing. The forums and comment sections transformed from fan clubs into support groups for Anna. Why? Because we realized we were complicit. By watching without questioning, we were validating the gaslighting of a young woman who was desperately trying to earn love that came with a price tag she could never afford. This isn't just about a clash of personalities, this is a broadcast case study on a narcissistic family system. To understand how Anna finally broke the cycle, we have to look at the architecture of control Trent and Amber built around her. It didn't happen overnight. It was a slow, methodical laying of bricks. The foundation was poured years ago, built on the fog of blame. Let's go deep into history. If you look back at the early seasons, there was always a distinct difference in how the biological children, Jonah and Elizabeth, were treated compared to the adopted children, specifically Anna. While Alex and Emma were often infantilized or coddled, Anna was positioned as the difficult one. Trent and Amber frequently referenced her background in a Russian orphanage as the source of her defiance. Now, psychology tells us about the concept of the identified patient. This is a phenomenon in dysfunctional families where one person is subconsciously selected to carry the burden of the family's entire dysfunction. The family projects all their stress, their failures, and their anger onto this one person. By fixing their eyes on Anna and saying, "She is the problem," Trent and Amber never had to look in the mirror. They never had to address their own control issues, their marital tensions, or their parenting failures, because they could always point a finger at Anna and say, "We are stressed because of her." There are insider reports, whispers from those who have been close to the production over the years, suggesting that this dynamic was heavily encouraged by the narrative producers in the early days. A happy family is boring. A family with a rebel is profitable. There is a theory circulating in the deepest corners of the fandom that Trent and Amber leaned into this troubled teen narrative specifically to secure renewal contracts, sacrificing their daughter's reputation for screen time. Whether that is explicitly true or just a byproduct of their natural personalities, the result is the same. Anna was sold to the world as damaged goods. But look at the comments from 5 years ago versus today. 5 years ago, viewers were saying, "Wow, Anna is a handful. Trent and Amber have so much patience." Today, those same viewers are writing, "Anna is a trauma survivor, and her parents are her abusers." The fog has lifted. The mechanism they used to keep Anna in check was isolation. It is the oldest weapon in the narcissist's arsenal. If you can cut the victim off from support, from reality, and even from the rest of the family, you can control their narrative. We saw this with the inner circle dynamic. In the Johnston home, there is a clear team. There is Team Trent and Amber, which includes Elizabeth, Jonah, Alex, and Emma. These are the ones who toe the line, who mimic the parents' language, and who represent the brand. Then, on the outside, looking in, there is Anna. We need to define gaslighting here because the word gets thrown around too loosely on the internet. Gaslighting is not just lying. Gaslighting is the systematic denial of someone's reality to the point where they question their own sanity. Trent and Amber are masters of this. Think back to the college dorm saga or the moving out debacle. Every time Anna tried to assert independence, it was reframed as her being ungrateful or unprepared. When she wanted to go away for school, they told her she wasn't ready, that she couldn't handle it. When she stayed, they complained she was too dependent. This is the double bind. It's a situation where the victim loses no matter what they choose. If Anna leaves, she is abandoning the family. If she stays, she is a burden. The goal of this architecture is to keep the victim in a state of constant anxiety, always seeking validation that will never come. But the cracks in this foundation started to show when Anna gained financial independence. That is the one thing a controlling parent fears most: a child who can pay their own bills. When Anna bought her own home, when she started succeeding in her career, the power dynamic shifted. Trent and Amber lost their financial leverage, so they had to ramp up the emotional leverage. And that brings us to the most brutal season we have ever witnessed. The tension we saw in season 14 wasn't just family drama, it was an extinction burst. In psychology, an extinction burst is what happens when a behavior is no longer reinforced, so the manipulator ramps up their tactics to desperate levels to get the reaction they want. Trent and Amber were losing their grip on Anna, so they tightened the screws. They used exclusion as a punishment. They used silence as a weapon. There is a terrifying theory that the family's coldness towards Anna in recent episodes wasn't just spontaneous anger, but a calculated punishment for her refusal to play the role of the screw-up anymore. Sources speculate that behind the scenes, Anna has been setting boundaries that the cameras didn't catch, refusing to engage in scripted conflicts, and this infuriated the family brand managers, Trent and Amber. They needed her to be a mess. She chose to be an adult, and for that, she had to be punished. This brings us to the psychological concept of the flying monkeys. In The Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch sends flying monkeys to do her dirty work. In a toxic family system, the narcissist recruits other family members to attack the scapegoat so the parents can keep their hands clean. We saw this clearly with Elizabeth. We watched a sister, who should have been an ally, transform into an enforcer for the parents. The way Elizabeth speaks to Anna, the condescension, the eye-rolling, the dismissal, is a direct mirror of Amber. Elizabeth has learned that the only way to stay safe in the golden child position is to participate in the abuse of the scapegoat. It is a survival tactic, but it is heartbreaking to watch. The architecture of control depends on the victim staying silent. It depends on the victim believing that they are the problem. But Anna did the one thing they didn't account for. She stopped reacting with the explosive emotion they used to film for ratings, and she started reacting with the cold, hard logic of someone who sees the game for what it is. She stopped crying for their approval and started analyzing their behavior. We are witnessing the collapse of a regime. Trent and Amber built a fortress of father knows best, but they forgot that their children would eventually grow up and realize that best shouldn't hurt this much. The isolation, the blame shifting, the public humiliation, it was all designed to keep Anna small. But as we move into the catalyst of this explosion, the birthday party that never was, we will see exactly how that control backfired. This wasn't just a party, it was a line in the sand. And when Anna refused to cross it, the entire family system went into panic mode. Because a scapegoat who refuses to be sacrificed is the most dangerous person in the room. Every complex system has a breaking point, a singular moment where the pressure becomes too great and the structure snaps. For the Johnston family, that flashpoint was Leighton's first birthday. To the casual observer, it was just a party. To those of us tracking the architecture of abuse, it was a declaration of war. We need to conduct a granular breakdown of this exclusion because the devil is in the details. The visual evidence was stark, a room full of family, friends, and laughter, and a glaring Anna-shaped void. The online rumor mill ignited immediately. Where was Anna? Was she working? Was she sick? Or was she banned? The ambiguity surrounding her absence wasn't an accident. It is a signature move of the narcissistic playbook. By not publicly addressing why she wasn't there immediately, Trent, Amber, and Elizabeth allowed the audience to speculate, hoping the default narrative of Anna the irresponsible would fill in the blanks. They banked on us assuming Anna simply couldn't get her act together to show up. But they miscalculated. There are insider reports from sources close to the production suggesting that the invite was nothing more than a ghost. The theory goes that the invitation was extended with such impossible conditions or delivered so late that Anna's attendance was set up to fail before it even began. This allows the abusers to say, "We invited her," while ensuring she never actually crosses the threshold. It's the illusion of inclusion. The true heartbreak of this catalyst wasn't the parents. We expect this from Trent and Amber by now. The knife in the back came from Elizabeth. We watched Liz, who had just become a mother herself, turn on her sister with a viciousness that shocked even the most cynical viewers. When the text messages and the pathetic comments came to light, it confirmed the darkest aspect of this family dynamic: the deputization of the siblings. Liz wasn't just acting as a sister, she was acting as a flying monkey. In the psychology of toxic families, the flying monkey is the enforcer. They are the person who attacks the scapegoat to prove their loyalty to the parents. By blocking Anna and calling her pathetic, Liz was signaling to Trent and Amber, "Look, I am on your side. I am rejecting the bad seed. Please don't turn your gaze on me." It was a betrayal born of survival, but it severed the last lifeline Anna had in that house. This exclusion set the stage for the Thanksgiving masquerade. If the birthday was the act of war, Thanksgiving was a propaganda campaign. We saw the Instagram aesthetic, the perfect table, the smiling faces, and then we saw the reality. Elizabeth went on a public offensive, stating that the door is always open. This is one of the most insidious lies in a toxic family system. It sounds benevolent, it sounds welcoming. But let's decode what "the door is always open" actually means in the Johnston household. It creates a catch-22, a logical trap with no escape. If Anna walks through that open door, she is walking into a lion's den where she will be ignored, criticized, and made to feel small. She becomes the crasher of their perfect happiness. But if she stays home to protect her peace, she is labeled as rejecting the family, holding a grudge, and being difficult. The open door is not an invitation to reconcile. It is a trap designed to prove that Anna is the problem regardless of what she does. There was no winning move for her other than to flip the board and stop playing. And that is exactly what she did. This brings us to the most crucial strategic shift in the entire series: the silence. For years, the show thrived on Anna's reactions. They poked her, she exploded, and they pointed and said, "See, she's crazy." But in the aftermath of the birthday snub and the Thanksgiving lockout, Anna went dark. She engaged in a psychological strategy known as gray rocking. To gray rock is to become as uninteresting and unresponsive as a rock. You offer no emotion, you offer no drama, you offer no fuel. When the scapegoat goes silent, the abuser panics. We watched Trent and Amber spiral. Without Anna's bad behavior to focus on, the tension in the house had nowhere to go. It started bouncing off the walls. Trent became more aggressive, Amber became more rigid. They couldn't get a reaction out of her, and it terrified them. There is a prevailing theory among deep dive analysts that this silence threatened the show itself. Reality TV needs conflict. If the designated villain stops screaming and starts thriving quietly in her own home, what is the plot? This leads us to the ethical black hole of the production itself. We have to ask, did TLC intervene? There is speculation that the sit-down meeting wasn't a genuine attempt at family therapy, but a mandate from the network. The ratings were shaky, the fans were turning on the parents, and the storyline was becoming depressingly stagnant. The producers needed a confrontation. Anna later admitted that the meeting felt forced, hinting that the strings were being pulled by those behind the cameras. Is TLC monetizing the emotional destruction of a young woman? Absolutely. They saw a family falling apart and handed them microphones instead of therapists. But Trent and Amber had their own reasons for agreeing to the meeting. They were in the middle of a PR crisis. They aren't stupid. They have internet access. They saw the comments. They saw the Reddit threads. They realized that for the first time in 14 seasons, they were the villains. They needed a redemption arc. They needed a scene where they could look like the benevolent, long-suffering parents reaching out to their wayward daughter. So, the trap was set. They invited Anna to meet on neutral ground. But anyone who knows how this show works knows that a set filled with cameras and boom mics is not neutral ground. It is Trent and Amber's arena. They walked in believing they could spin the narrative back in their favor. They thought they could talk circles around Anna like they did when she was 16. They prepared their speeches, their justifications, and their I statements. We need to analyze the body language of that arrival. It tells a story the dialogue tries to hide. Watch the footage again. Trent walks in with a specific kind of aggression. Chest out, jaw tight. He isn't walking in to listen. He is walking in to dominate. He looks like a manager arriving to fire an employee, not a father arriving to hug his daughter. Amber walks in with her arms already virtually folded across her chest, a defensive wall built before a single word is spoken. Her eyes are scanning for weakness. And then there is Anna. She isn't cowering. She isn't crying. Her posture is defensive, yes, but it is the defense of someone who is prepared for a siege. She looks tired, not of the moment, but of the lifetime leading up to it. She knows this isn't a peace summit. She knows it is an ambush. What Trent and Amber didn't realize was that the Anna waiting for them at that table wasn't the teenager they used to ground for having a messy room. Anna at the table was a homeowner, a business owner, and a woman who had spent the last few months realizing that she didn't need them to survive. They walked in expecting a child. They ran into a wall. The stage was set for the most important conversation in the history of the show. The producers wanted drama. The parents wanted vindication. But Anna? Anna just wanted the truth. And as they sat down, the air in the room shifted. The silence wasn't empty. It was heavy with everything that had been left unsaid for a decade. The parents thought they were holding the gavel, ready to pass judgment one last time. They had no idea that Anna had brought the evidence, and she was about to put the entire family system on trial. The meeting began not with a hello, but with a suffocation. If you want to see the exact moment hope died in that room, look at the first 90 seconds. Anna barely gets a word out before Amber cuts her off. This wasn't an interruption. It was a tactical strike. In the world of power dynamics, interrupting someone is the quickest way to assert dominance. It says, "My noise is more important than your thoughts." We watched Anna try to speak, try to explain her feelings, and immediately the wall came down. "I can't even finish my sentence," she said. Watch her physical reaction in that moment. It wasn't annoying. It was a visceral physical recoil. Her shoulders hunched, her eyes dropped. This is what trauma looks like in real time. It is the body remembering that speaking up is dangerous. It wasn't just that Amber was rude. It was that Amber was signaling that the rules of the game hadn't changed. They weren't there to listen. They were there to lecture. And then came the pivot. This is a masterclass in a manipulation tactic known as DARVO, deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. The stated purpose of the meeting was to reconnect and fix the relationship. But the moment Anna tried to hold them accountable for the exclusion, Trent and Amber flipped the script. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't about how they hurt Anna. It was about how Anna is a bad aunt. It was about how Anna didn't text Elizabeth. They denied their aggression, attacked her character, and reversed the roles so that they, the parents who blocked their child, became the victims of her coldness. They tried to drown her valid grievance in a flood of irrelevant accusations. But this time, Anna didn't drown. She dropped the nuclear option. She looked at them and delivered the line that will haunt the legacy of this show forever. Love without respect is suffocating. We need to stop and dissect this sentence, because it is the most profound thing ever spoken on TLC. To a narcissist, love and respect are the same thing. They think, "I love you, therefore I own you. Therefore I can do whatever I want to you." They view love as a feeling they possess, an excuse for their behavior. We pushed you because we love you. We yelled because we love you. Anna shattered that delusion. She separated the two concepts. She acknowledged their love. She didn't deny that they have feelings for her, but she rendered it useless. She told them that love without the action of respect isn't nurturing. It is a cage. It is suffocating. Look at Amber's face when Anna says that. Freeze the frame. That is the face of a woman who has lost the script. Amber was prepared for yelling. She was prepared for tears. She was prepared for "I hate you." She has a defense for all of that. But she had no defense for a calm, clinical diagnosis of her parenting style. She was stunned because Anna wasn't speaking like a child. She was speaking like a peer. She was demanding equality. And to a controlling parent, equality feels like disrespect. The good intentions shield crumbled right there. Trent and Amber tried to hide behind, "We just want the best for you." But Anna's response made it clear. Intent doesn't matter. Impact matters. You can intend to hug someone, but if you squeeze too hard and break their ribs, you don't get credit for the hug. You get charged for the assault. Then came the fourth wall break. The moment the illusion of reality TV dissolved completely. Anna admitted, on camera, that the show itself is a poison in their relationship. She questioned whether they were doing this for the family or for the production. There are rumors, dark, verified whispers from the editing room, that producers scrambled when she said this. They usually cut moments where the cast acknowledges the artifice of the show, but they left this in. Why? Because even the producers realized that the narrative had shifted. The job of being a Johnston had become a contract Anna was no longer willing to sign. She realized that her role in the family wasn't just daughter, it was content creator, and the content was her misery. This meeting was the climax, but the resolution was even more telling. It led to a massive power shift. Anna didn't leave that table asking for forgiveness. She didn't leave promising to do better. She left stating terms. She essentially gave them a performance review, gave them a failing grade, and walked out. Contrast this with Trent. Throughout the meeting, he tried to summon that big daddy energy he used in earlier seasons. He leaned forward, he used his booming voice, he tried to intimidate, but it fell flat. You can see the confusion in his eyes. He is realizing, in 4K resolution, that he has no leverage left. He can't ground her. He can't take away her phone. He can't threaten to stop paying for her college. She is an adult with a mortgage and a job. Without financial or physical control, Trent is powerless. He is a king without a kingdom, shouting orders at a citizen who has already emigrated to a new country. The aftermath of this meeting rippled out into the real world. This is where the audience comes back in. The vindication for Anna was immediate and overwhelming. Thousands of comments, videos, and posts flooded the internet, validating her reality. For a scapegoat, this external validation is a lifeline. For years, she was told she was crazy. Now, millions of people were telling her, "You are sane. They are the problem." This likely helped her maintain the boundary. It's harder to gaslight someone when the entire world is providing video evidence of the truth. Anna taught us the hardest lesson of all. Sometimes you have to lose your family to save yourself. We have this cultural obsession with sticking together, with the idea that family is everything. But Anna showed us that blood is not a binding contract for abuse. The definition of adulting isn't what Trent and Amber think it is. It isn't just paying bills or mowing the lawn. Real adulthood is looking your parents in the eye and saying, no. It is realizing that you are a sovereign being, not an extension of their ego. So where does this leave the Johnstons? The future is volatile. A narcissistic system cannot survive without a scapegoat. It needs a vessel to pour its toxicity into. With Anna effectively removing herself from that role by building a wall of indifference, the family is in a dangerous position. The pressure has to go somewhere. We are already seeing the signs. There are theories that the target is shifting. Will they turn on Elizabeth next? It's possible. She is currently the golden child, but the golden child is a precarious position. If she steps out of line, if she asserts too much independence with her new baby, she could easily fall from grace. Or will it be Jonah? We've seen Trent's frustration with Jonah's career and living situation. Without Anna to kick around, Trent's critical eye needs a new focus. The dynamic is unstable. They are a solar system that has lost its gravity. Planets are going to collide. Anna Johnston didn't just win an argument, she dismantled a lifelong system of control. She exposed the machinery of the show and the dysfunction of the home. She proved that the problem child was actually the only one telling the truth. This story is a universal truth packaged in a reality TV format. We watched it because deep down, we all have an Anna moment waiting for us. That moment where we realize that being loved isn't enough if we aren't seen. That moment where we have to choose between keeping the peace and keeping our soul. Anna chose her soul. But this story isn't over. The cameras are still rolling, the contracts are still signed. And as the family navigates this new reality where their scapegoat has gone rogue, the cracks are only going to get wider. If you have ever felt like the Anna in your family, or if you noticed a detail in the background of a scene that we missed, a look, a whisper, a contradiction, put it in the comments right now. We are building the ultimate record of this story, and we need your eyes. We don't just watch the drama on this channel, we diagnose it. We refuse to be passive consumers of someone else's trauma. We are witnessing liberation in real time. Make sure you are subscribed, because the next deep dive is going to explore the psychology of the golden child and why Elizabeth's position might be more dangerous than Anna's ever was. Trent and Amber are looking confused. They are looking angry. But for the first time in 14 seasons, Anna is just looking ahead. Alone, perhaps, but free. And in that silence, she has finally found her voice.